My name is Tony Edmond, the CEO of Zafi Shoes.
My name is Jaidel. I call myself a cat.
I am the CEO of Aforkogene Ogidi. His passion for music developed from a very tender age. With that passion came a drive to produce music that would bless and touch lives. On today's show, I'll be chatting with an ace music producer whose songs have become hits and transformed the gospel music industry. Welcome to Spotlight.
Aforkogene Ogidi, popularly known as Afor, is a music producer who started his career at a tender age. Growing up, Afor was already committed in his local church choir as a drummer, and that was also where he learned to play the piano. The first day he set his eyes on the black and white keys, Afor was hooked onto the piano. After much practice, Afor became a perfect pianist, but he yearned for more. Whenever he took the keyboard home, he did more with it. Afor had started teaching himself how to produce without even knowing it. The passion was inborn, and that passion drove him to discover more about the keyboard. While he was in secondary school, he was employed by a church to play for them at the church services. By the end of high school, he was already a fantastic pianist. For the first time, Afor was taken by a friend to his studio. There, he met with some Nigerian artists like Daniel Wilson, Brass Kimono.
My original name is Aforkogene Ogidi. Aforkogene is my name, Ogidi is my surname. Then it's been shortened into Afor, which everybody knows. But you know how it is in this business of ours. Your colleagues do not just like to call you that name. They want to make a nickname, which they call the stage name, out of whatever you do, talk to you. So they call me Afor. A4 is from Afor. So instead of A, they made that A, and the first sounds like 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where the name was being derived from. So, but they call me A for Jeezy. Jeezy is a funky way of pronouncing jazzy. I used to be a jazz pianist. So whatever then when I play, they say A for Jeezy, A for Jazzy. It started from A for Jazzy, then it was being twisted into A for Jeezy. That's how come my name, or my stage name, becomes popularly known as A for Jeezy. Some very few years back, I just had a flashback, and I discovered that I've been a producer ever since I could remember. Several years ago, I started by being a drummer in the church. I grew up having the consciousness of being myself by playing drums in the church. It was around in the 80s. I was probably 9 years to 12. So I started playing drums, and I just knew I loved music. But I then, the passion was really strong in me. I don't know how to explain this, that kind of passion. So after 3 years, the first day I set my eyes on these white and black keys, I didn't get myself anymore. So I began to lay my hands on it, even though there was no teacher, even at then, it was difficult to see musicians. Musicians were few in Nigeria. So I started by playing in the church, my mother's church. It was a Sabbath church. They called it Sabbath church because they worship on Saturday. That's where I started. And a way I began to play, even though I wasn't playing professionally, and I was not playing the right keys, but I just knew I am playing something. Until a day somebody told me one simple truth about the keys and how to identify them. When he told me there are 2 black keys and there are 3 black keys, from these 2 black keys you'll be able to identify what you are playing, because in every 2 black keys there's something behind the 2 black keys. That key there is called C. That is how you, that even though I've said it, you also would know that this is not like magic anymore. So meanwhile, at then my fingers were already soft, very flexible. So I began to move that way. Before you knew it, I was a perfect pianist for that church at that moment, and they didn't want to hear any other person play. But even at then, I was not satisfied. I was really young, maybe say 13 years. I would take the keyboard home, not realizing how to play keyboard anymore. What I remember just recently was that then I would connect the keyboard to the double cassette player. I will record what I've played. I'll bring the cassette out, play it. As that one is playing, I'm recording another style on what I've played. That is actually what production is about. You post-producing, playing, you hear something, then you know what needs to add to that thing to give it a color. You see, that thing I've been doing, I didn't know I was producing. I was teaching myself how to produce. I do that every day. When I wake up, I take the keyboard, I plug it, I play. When I play, I say no, let me add strings, and I add. So this is what I've been doing. So it's just something inborn that is not something. It's not the passion was not derived from somebody's success that I have seen. It was an inborn thing.
Different music talents, are coming into the industry. How do you discover a talent, and how do you hear? How do you listen for good music?
You see that burning of that fire, in that person. You see, apart from the fire of doing whatever that person wants to do, especially in music, you discover that the person has all it takes, like the voice, if you're saying singing for instance, and the person also follows up with his or her activities behind who you see the person as. Like when the person goes out of that stage where you see the person performs or sing or whatever, that person is always working on his self or herself. So how you get to know is whenever let's use a singer for instance. Whenever that guy sings, the reaction you get in your body will be different from just anybody.
We have to go on a break now. When we return, we'll still have Afor with us, so stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still on to Spotlight, and we have a music producer with us as our guest, Afor. And you were just telling us about, the challenges that you faced as a producer.
My most challenging production, a project called Shout of the King. Shout of the King was the first major concert held by the Believers Love, and our man of God has a vision for that concert of achieving a world standard production at the final production. So he told us that, and we agreed and we promised we will deliver. But we finished the concert and we're about to do post-production and mixing and all that. Because of what our man of God said he wanted to achieve, nobody believed I would be able to do it. So at first, what they did was took this job to professional studios outside and involved this project with professional producers and engineers. And when the work came back, our man of God didn't like it. Then he said this job should be taken to another place, maybe outside the country, so that his vision could be met on that project. So while they were thinking of what to do, I told my boss, who is Evangelist Katie, I told her that I could do this thing. She said, really? Are you sure you can do it? I said, yes, I can. One thing I know is that I can do better than that final product you have. Then I said, okay, the next meeting I'm going to tell them that we are going to do it. You see, you must not fail me. I said, no, I'm sure. So she gave me whatever I needed to do the job, and I started. So it was really challenging because I already told her that I would do it. I was there day and night like that, trying to achieve what I have not even done before. And that was, apart from being challenging, it was close to my first time of mixing and mastering. I was not a mixing engineer, I was just a producer. Mixing engineer is a guy that does all this button. The producer, the sequencer, is one that does keyboard. So I really do not do these ones before at that point, at that time or period of my life. But I took it as a challenge. I took some few days to learn because I know I have it inside of me. So that was how I started. Then, even though it was challenging, it came out in a way. Lo and behold, they took the job to our man of God, and he just accepted it. That was how I began to do post-production for the ministry.
Now, can you tell us some productions that you've been involved in?
I've been involved with quite a lot, especially in this ministry, in Believers Love Word. Yeah, even outside Believers Love Word. I'll mention a few that you know. I've been involved with productions like Imarama for Iben, Iwonikon, God Day. Those is 3 hits that took him to limelight. I was involved with Jaidel, this one, I'm a Heritage, Jara music. I've been involved with Sinach. Our hit songs, the first album, I was involved in everything. And I've been involved with, let me say, Sinach, This Is My Season, More of You, and all that. I've been involved with Joe Praise, D Sharp, Shalom, Kefi, Kassid, Natural Process. I produced for Ada, also our first song ever was called Rabboni. I produced that song too. Then I've produced for Samsong, Still Counting, several years ago. I've produced for Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, my PhD, Believers Love Word. This song, you remember Reach Out? Do you remember this Healing School montage? Jesus, whenever doing good, healing the sick.
Now, can you tell us about the reward that was given to you by a man of God, Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, PhD, at the last International Pastors and Partners Conference that was in 2013? What was the experience like for you?
It was a total new experience for me. You know, all the while I've been this kind of guy that's been behind the scene, doing a lot. You see, so whatever we do it with all our heart, and at the end of the day, we believe that it's only God that sees us. because nobody will know, nobody think of, especially in this part of the world, nobody think of the producer or think of any other person than the artist that is using the work we do. Like for instance, if I produce for an event, when you go out there, when he goes out there to perform the song, all they see is Eben. So it's only God that sees those attributes, contributions, and everything that we do to make sure that that work comes out in an excellent form. So that's how it has been for years. And this day also, I was not expecting, as like the normal IPPC, I was not expecting any form of award, especially at that category of occasion. I was not expecting. It was not my departmental award ceremony. It was not. It was not like they were trying to award the department and I was involved. So I was not expectant of that award. It took me unaware, and you could all see that day that tears gushed out of my eyes. I couldn't hold it back. You know, apart from everything that happened, I discovered that my life has changed from that henceforth. Because sometimes you get tired in a way when you keep doing something and it looks like nobody is seeing what you do. Nobody, so it's somehow, gets you weird of. But right from that moment, my spirit have been eager to do more for God, like never before. So it was a glorious experience for me, a life-changing experience.
Afor, you obviously made a lot of impact in the music industry and you're still moving on. But I'm sure there's some young people that want to go into entertainment, and wondering how to start and how to go about it. What advice, what would you like them to know about the industry and the opportunities that await them in this industry?
Okay, my advice for everyone that has the dream of becoming a great musician is to, first of all, hold on to that dream, because you will face challenges just like I did, especially from your very own people, from my parents. So it could be from your father or your mother, from your sisters, from your friends, from your finances. You will find that challenge, but if you hold up to it, you will find yourself moving on in a way. You will find that improvement. And don't just be a local musician. Educate yourself on it. You don't need to go to the school if you don't have the money to. There are every ways right now which you can educate yourself on the net. Go on the net. There are free education for music. Right now, you go there, enhance your knowledge and all that. Before you know it, you become the best in the world. That education there, that educating yourself is really important for you, so that you are informed of what the world music is all about. Don't be a local champion, whatever you are. Go for the best. Wherever you see great musicians, try as much as possible to reach out to them and ask them for how they get to where they are, and they will let you know. They will give you advice. Always be around where good music is being done. Always be around musicians that are better than you, so that it can help you to be better musician. Then also try as much as possible to make sure that you give yourself time to rehearse, time to practice, because that is the only way out. And what makes you a better person or a better musician than the other is the time you add to yourself, the time you add to practicing, the time you add to knowing adding to your knowledge.
Afor, thank you so much. And thank you for being a blessing to the entertainment industry. I know you've been inspired by today's episode like I have been. And Afor is a very hardworking person, and he's so passionate about what he does. And now these are some qualities that make up for a very successful entrepreneur. Until I come your way again, bye for now.